wheelchair accessible, but also, hi, come on in. Being a commercial greenhouse package, they all come with some sort of truss system that, this one is at 12 feet, so it was only a one-story house that would be under the trusses, and the trusses kind of would be a tripping hazard for using any of the space on the roof. But it's almost flat. It's a very low pitch roof. I get up there twice a year and I vacuum the debris out of the sunshades and off the roof, and I clean the skylights. That the roof opens, it hinges at the peak like wings, almost horizontal. And because I have so many fir trees around the greenhouse, when the wind is blowing and the roof is open, I do get a lot of debris coming in here. So that's one of the reasons for the shades. You can see they catch the debris. This is the one I didn't vacuum yet this season. But otherwise, it's working pretty well. On a day where it's not sunny, like today, it's only about 5 to 10 degrees warmer in here than it is outside. I don't have any auxiliary heat, no furnaces. Those sorts of options were available from the company that I bought the greenhouse, but they're very expensive. They're also really noisy because growing greenhouses, they don't care if it's noisy, but a living greenhouse. So everything in here, other than the greenhouse itself, is pretty stock. You could, go to Home Depot and buy the fans and the other things that I use to control the heat and the humidity. Let's see, in here. So the house, 400 square feet. So this is my auxiliary living room. I ordered the furniture. It got delivered like weeks ago, but I had to wait for the ferry to come back. So, yay! I'll have my furniture finally. This is almost a perfect east-west axis. So the sun comes up over there in the east, and it sets about over there in the west. So this is almost due south, and it gets sun all day. And that is being north, it gets almost no sun, except the setting sun, because it's in that corner. It's not shaded by the house. So there really wasn't anything I could grow on the north side of the house, so that's actually a lap pool. It's 6 feet wide, 40 feet long, about 4 feet deep for swimming. And then this pond area on this end, and then there's another pond on the other end. We'll have plants in it that will filter the water, so I don't have to use chemicals. All the water in the pool comes from rainwater. I have 2 2,500-gallon rainwater tanks. So all the rain from the roof goes to the tanks, and then I use the water from the tanks to fill the pool. Tanks, 5,000 gallon, pool, 14,000 gallons. So it takes 3 fills of tanks to fill the pool. I used all the tanks to make 1 fill in the pool, and we haven't had enough rain in April and May. The tanks are only half full. So I don't think I'm going to be able to fill the pool this year from the rainwater. Same thing happened last year. Midsummer, the rainwater tanks will dry for about 3 weeks. So I also have pumps in the pool that feed the irrigation. so not having any chemicals in the pool, I can use that to water inside the greenhouse. The tanks run dry. The idea of the gardens in here is this end is all ornamental and herbs. Being the living room, the idea is this is things that look nice and smell nice. And then I work from home full time. So the living room, this is where I sit all day. It's a lift top table, so it's both my desk for working, it's my dining room table, and this is what I look out at. So the ornamental garden ends here because this is what I look at. These are the controllers for the roof. And then this end is the food. I call it the working garden, so it wasn't intended to be aesthetically pleasing, but everything in this end of the greenhouse is edible. All of the netting and the wire, that's to keep the cat from scratching. So that you'll see some bare patches, that's because she is scratched up whatever I planted there. This is my experiment. As soon as I finish working out the bugs in this design, I'll build another one for that bed and take down the cattle fence. And then radishes, onions and carrots, olives and strawberries, calamondin, 3 types of cucumbers, 2 kinds of peas, borage, 2 tomatoes, Swiss chard, 3 lettuce, artichoke, beets, lavage, potatoes, nasturtiums, more tomatoes, 2 kinds of sunflowers, asparagus and peaches. Wow. And carrots. Yeah. I planted the peach tree, so this is my 3rd year. September will be the 3rd anniversary from when I moved in. That was planted as a 4-foot twig. And the first year it got 3 peaches, and then last year it got about 9 or 12 peaches. And this year it's covered. So one of the reasons I had that roped off is so that people don't hit the branches and knock out some of my little peaches. That is my pride and joy. The reason it's planted there is to provide shade from the afternoon hot sun. It shades the house and the pool.
Do you always have these doors open?
I can have them open all day, all night. In fact, I do leave the bedroom door open all night, except for the coldest part, maybe December, January, but I start opening it again in February, March time.
Did you say you have no heat in there?
There is a mini split. I don't turn on the heat except maybe December, January, February. And then the mini split also provides air conditioning, but I think last year I used it about 5 times. Because when it gets too hot in here, and I'm a heat wimp, so to me, if the house gets to 80 degrees, that's too hot. I close up the doors and the windows, turn on the air conditioning, and it's fine. But the greenhouse, there's no auxiliary heat. Since this is like my last home, I wanted it to be low maintenance, low cost to maintain, wheelchair accessible, and so the greenhouse, no auxiliary heat, very low cost cooling. I can open the doors on each end, and then there's also an awning window on this end and one on the east end. Those are on temperature controlled hinges. They open at 75 degrees. And when the doors open, the roof is open, the convection pushes the hot air out. So on a sunny day, it's only maybe 10 degrees hotter in here than it is outside. So when it's 90 plus outside, it's unbearable in here, and I close up the doors and windows, and the house is fine. Today, though, I had to close the doors and the roof, not because of the rain. It was getting too cold in here. I was uncomfortable, but that's also how pollination happens. When the doors are open, bugs do come in. I see bees and stuff. The peach is self-pollinating, but I suspect that most of the pollination is actually happening from wind. Because either when it's windy outside or it's warm enough that the convection is moving, you can see everything in here is moving with the breeze. There's 3 air-to-ground heat exchange systems. That's what these breathe tubes are. They're pulling the hot air down. One of these is tubes that are 2 feet under the ground, and the other is the tubes are 4 feet under the ground, and they're exhausting over here. And you can see how much they are moving the air. The third one, the intake is over there, and the tubes are an experiment. They're running under the pool and exhausting here under the peach tree. And the experiment is to see, does the water cool the air better or more effectively than the tubes that are running through the earth? Because they're cooling across about 32, 34 feet, and there it's cooling across about 40 feet, but I haven't filled the pool yet. So it's anecdotal, but I do think that the water, even if it's not doing a more effective job with the air through the tubes, it's acting as a mass. Like you may have seen in other greenhouses, they have like barrels of water painted black to absorb the heat and radiates the heat overnight, or they have concrete to act as a mass. The water is doing the same thing. The water is absorbing the heat during the day, radiating it back at night. And the same thing in the winter, it's keeping it just a little bit warmer in here than if the water wasn't there.
2 questions.
Yeah.
One, where did you get this idea? And 2, are you an architect? I mean, how? Yeah, great question. That was my question too.
So about 7 years ago, I saw a video on YouTube of the first greenhouse enclosed home in Sweden. And there they had a house pre-existing. They built the greenhouse over it and then took the roof off of that house, and what had been the second floor was now rooftop living. But I saw that video and I was hooked. Like immediately searched for everyone in the world I could find. And there's only about 12 in the world, and they're all in Europe, except mine is the only one in the United States. But as part of that, I created a spreadsheet. For each one, I tried to find out how they handled like dozens of different criteria. Like, did they have a pool? What material did they use? Was it a standard package or was it bespoke? How did they handle entry? Was it 1-story, 2-story? And I used that to kind of guide me through, these are the things I need to pay attention to in designing mine. Not an architect, but I am a design junkie. This is the 3rd house I've designed and had built from raw land. And I have to say, the house is pretty much perfect. There isn't anything I would change about the house. The greenhouse was the real challenge for me. Mine is the only one in the world that I found that has a pool or a pond inside, so that was a real experiment on humidity control that other greenhouses haven't had to deal with. But I'm like a research hound, so I just did a lot of research.
It's such a good time.
Yeah, and it's turned out as great as I imagined. The first year was really challenging to figure out the heat and the humidity control. It was really humid in here the first winter, and then I learned it was really counterintuitive that I had to have the roof open, even in the winter. I thought that, no, that's gonna let all the heat out, but it's no. You have to have it cracked at least a little bit to let the humidity out. And so in the winter, the fans are reversible. They are helping to push the humidity out. And after that, it's been fine.
So this is your third year, third summer.
Yep. And starting in about March is when it will start to get to about 70 degrees in here, and it's 40 out there. We built the greenhouse first. I was building just after COVID, so supply chain was still really uncertain, and it was perfect. So I had my builder, Matt Simons. He lives here on the island. He's fabulous. If you've never met him, but we would either build the greenhouse first or the house first, whichever we got permitted and ready and the materials arrived, etc. And fortunately, the greenhouse became available first. So we built this in the winter, and we used this whole area to store all the materials as they were available. Even so, like the appliances showed up 5 months before we could install the appliances, but I didn't have to pay for storage. I could take them when they became available. And I was shopping like second use building supply, Habitat for Humanity, picking up things as I found them, and I could store them. And then the carpenter, they set up their saws and tables and stuff over on that end of the greenhouse. And we,
How about the site preparation, the water line, the septic system, the electricity? I mean, you must have done some site preparation before you did the greenhouse.
yeah, so site preparation, there was a pre-existing septic when I bought the property, because the previous owners, they used this property to camp on in the weekends. And so the septic tanks are down there, the sand filter is there, and the drain field is up there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and the trailer pad was already there with water and power and septic, but it was a different trailer, so I
There
had,
was already electricity and water
Yeah.
there anyway.
so
Then you had to get,
what that meant is there were pipes and electricity running through the property. So essentially, they had to abandon all of the pre-existing pipe and electricity and rerun that once the greenhouse and the house were in place. There was a slope running through here with about a 4-foot grade change from up there to here, so they did a cut and fill. So that's what the retaining wall is there for, to be able to get a large enough level spot. And then the same thing, there's another this door, there's a ramp going down to the lower parking lot. My property runs from street to street, so I have a second entrance over here. There's 2 sheds on the property that were pre-existing. They were really bad condition, so I just use them for storage. So we had to level here, run in new power and new water and internet from up there, and they come in on that side of the greenhouse, and then power and water run now to new power and water run to the trailer.
Really neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can't say much but wow after that.
Oh, thank you.
You're not gonna be the only one in the US, I'm sure.
Well,
Other people are gonna be.
the challenge, and this isn't a flex, it's just truth, is there was no one who would lend to build
Right.
one
Oh,
of these.
yes.
Yeah.
They said there's no comparables,
Yeah.
therefore there's no resale value.
Yeah.
If we had to sell this, nobody would buy it.
Oh, please.
I know. I'm like, there's always people who will buy something unique.
Oh, yeah, this is wonderful.
And so basically I had to pay cash to build this.
I bet.
And so, like, when you are looking at every single square foot and saying, that's going to cost me X dollars, is that the best use
Right.
of that
Right.
square
Yeah.
foot?
It does change your attitude a little bit.
Yeah, and so
Agonizing.
it also came down to, what do I absolutely need to do to be able to move in, and then what will I do going forward? And so,
Right.
you know, that is what's going to hold back doing more of these, is people having the money to be able to do it with cash.
Crazy. Yep. I can see it.
I love your sink here.
So this came from my grandparents.
Oh my gosh.
They used to have that as a fountain in their backyard, and when we would go to play there as little kids, they would say, "Get your water outside, you don't come running into the house all dirty and muddy."
That's wonderful that you can use it.
Yep.
It's great.
And the same thing, that cabinet, my grandfather built it.
Oh,
My
I
grandmother
love
painted
that.
it.
The blue cabinet in the corner, yeah. Oh, green, I guess it's green.
Pretty. Okay, I think.
Have you thought about putting any solar panels up that would then provide shade that you could somehow manipulate to make some electricity, but then shade when you needed it, that kind of thing?
I did. At first, I was thinking, no, I didn't want to put them. So, first of all, having the trees around my property, I'm not a very good candidate for solar.
Okay, yeah.
But then I thought, well, I don't even want to put them on the roof because I need the sunlight coming in through the roof. But in reality, in the summer, the sun is coming through the sidewalls.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mhm. That's the place
so-
to put the panels then.
So I could actually put panels on the non-operable portion, and I am now starting to consider that, because for the last 3 years, I'm still making improvements as I earn the money to be able to pay somebody or to buy the materials and do the work myself. But now I'm finally getting to the point where everything else is gravy, because the gardens are set up. It's just planting them each year. The irrigation is in now. So solar panels have now risen to the place on the list that it may be coming in the next few years.
I don't know if you know Ian Wolfenden. He's the guy to talk to about solar.
Yeah.
he consulted at our house, and we have a great system. We really like it. Worked out well for us.
Yeah,
Like a
I
specialist.
don't know Ian by face, but I've chatted with him online, because, yeah, I wanted to get an idea if solar was viable here. Because I've also thought about a small wind turbine, not the fans that need to be, on the 60-foot poles, but I thought some of those 4-foot turbines on the roof of the sheds. Because the one good thing about the trees is I'm really at ground level, protected from the wind. It's way less windy down at the house than it is even at the peak of the greenhouse. But the only real opening in the trees are where the driveway is cut in over here and over here. So that's kind of like a wind tunnel if the wind is coming from that direction or that direction.
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Delightful to see. Little studio. Cool.